How come you don't think the education system encourages that? For teachers to get creative about how they teach?
Oh, there's no creativity in classrooms.
I know.
It's supposed to be curriculum. The system was designed to produce the exact factory workers who would listen and work on Bell and all that, right?
We're in a new day, though. Right?
Yeah, but it hasn't changed.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Evolve Your Brand podcast. I am your host, Oli Merkes. I just want to give a huge shout out to Shane x3 because you love yourself. You went and hired 2 other people with your name. Steven, we named the eel after you because that's how much we love you. I named the eel after you because I love you. And the rest of the crew here, we can't do this without you. Without further ado, I'm so excited. We have Kohila Joins. Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
I gotta say, I had some fun researching you.
Ooh, lovely.
Yes.
Hopefully it's all good.
All I saw was good. All I saw, author, you're on your 3rd book. Mm-hmm. You're a teacher. You have an incredible story of triumph. So excited to have you. Welcome.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Are you looking forward to this?
Yes, absolutely.
And we have a special announcement. This is your first in-person podcast.
Yes.
What a privilege for the Evolve Your Brand.
Yes.
All right, folks. I had so much fun offset, just getting to know you. And I think the things that we're going to talk about today, if I was a parent right now, I would tune in.
Yes.
I'd bring out a notepad, get a pencil, maybe even watch it with your kids. And this is one of those, I'm getting goosebumps right now because I really had to dive in as a parent myself. And so can you just kind of talk about your journey? How did you become an educator? What led you to the path of being an impact maker? Where does your story begin?
My story began in Sri Lanka. That's where I was born. But we had a huge war there. So we had to leave. My dad lost everything. So we had to find safety. So he decided to bring us to Canada. But he left first to Canada. And then after a couple of years, he then brought us here. During those years, my grandparents were everything for me. They became everything. So when I left Sri Lanka, it's still in my heart. It's a painful is that because I was so young, I didn't realize that's the last time I'm going to see my grandparents. I thought it was just a short trip to somewhere. I'll come back in a few days. I'm like, bye-bye, I'm going to Canada as a 6-year-old. But that was the last time I saw them. I couldn't go back to ever hug them or anything. So that was my last goodbye to them. So came to Canada. It was pretty cold in Montreal, in the East Coast. Then we moved to Ontario and started going to school, and the racism was pretty heavy during that time, right? So, I always had because of my grandparents and my granddad especially, I had a good understanding that I'm the new person here. They don't know me. One day they'll get to know me and they'll appreciate me. Right now they don't know me. So I always had that in my head. So I never let it bother me, but I was always shy. But because I didn't know English, I started muting myself at school to protect myself from getting made fun of. I didn't want people to know I didn't know proper English. And my parents didn't speak English either, so that didn't help at home. And because my dad lost everything in Sri Lanka, he had everything in Sri Lanka. He was pretty well off. Now he's without anything. He's at minimum wage in Canada, helping 4 of his kids. So it was a big shift for him. So he started drinking. So our house became a mess. It was always a fight or he's just angry. And every time he would come drunk home, we're all afraid what's going to happen. And most of the time he'll pick on me or my brother, younger brother, and he'll ask questions, like what's 9 times 9? And I get so scared and I would answer it wrong. And then he'll punish me by saying, sit on your knee for another, half an hour and then all that stuff. So it was always very, very bad situation. And at school, I'm getting made fun of, sometimes thrown rocks, sometimes spit at. All these things are happening at home. This is happening. And my mom's sort of from the generation where she's honors her husband no matter what. So she's not going to protect me either, right? So then there was an adult in my life that really showed some love and care and everything, but he was grooming me. I didn't know that. During that time, he was grooming me. And later, at 32 years old, I got to know that's what was happening, but it took that long to realize that. So he raped me, and then after that, I became very lost, even more lost than I was previous to that. That was around 12 years old now. So then I went to school. I'm still not speaking. And by the end of that year, I decided that, maybe I should kill myself because I don't have any answers to anything. I'm not doing well in school. I'm not speaking. A lot of things are not going right. And I'm pretty much a burden for my parents because my dad always says you're stupid, and he'll compare everything to everyone and everything and says you're not going to be anything good for anything. So that's what I ended up doing. One day I decided to end my life. So I sat down and exactly did what I wanted to do, but I didn't leave. I woke up again. The next day I woke up and I got a second chance. And I also got a very good lesson on how the mind works. The day before, when I was doing all that, my mind was in a toxic pool of thoughts. But the second day, the same mind was giving me, oh, your mom is so sad. But the day before, it said your mom wouldn't care. You see, when I was in the toxic level, I'm hearing everything validated my own negative thoughts. The second day, I was rebirthed again, and I have new ideas. They don't all hate me. My mom doesn't hate me. She loves me. If I've gone that day, my mom would have been devastated all her life. Just one example. And then I looked at my brother. They love me. But the day before, nobody loved me. So I started studying my mind. That day is when I said, oh, mind works the way you think. You can make it work like this. So that's how I started getting a little bit strength. I'm not saying that's everything happened like that, but I kind of started playing with my mind, like, I can make it work for me. Then I started applying more and more, went back into the school again. And during that time, there was an ESL teacher. Her name was Mrs. Mayo. And she looked at me one day and said, I know you can speak, because I'm not speaking up until anyone, like I'm muting myself at school. If anyone asks, I'm just like nodding, and nobody cared until this time. Since 6 years old to almost 13, no one cared. I didn't speak. So I've just bypassed every teacher as a shy girl. Don't worry about her. That's what they would always say. I'm like, I'm not shy. I would like to say stuff. I had ideas. So I became a very good listener. Body language, everything. I was a scientist in my mind. If you ask me what I was doing, I was studying everybody. I was studying every move, everything. So Mrs. Mayo looked at me in my ESL class and said, I know you can speak. I want you to speak. Just say what you want to say. And she made me speak at school one day. And then I started speaking. So
what did you speak about?
We were reading something. She just said, just tell me what you're thinking. Just speak. Don't just sit there, just speak. I just needed somebody to tell me that.
What was it like to have someone, after 6-7 years?
Yeah, give me that attention.
Like you had no voice.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden someone said, I want to hear your voice.
She connected with me. It's that energy, right? You connect with that person. So I started speaking for her and for myself. I'm like, I can speak. Yeah.
And we're all better off for it.
Yes. I haven't
what was her name?
Speaking. Mrs. Mayo.
Mrs. Mayo. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's the only name I remember, if you ask me. That's the only teacher's name I remember from all my childhood.
No doubt.
The only name.
No
Nobody
doubt.
else. Yeah. So,
what an incredible moment.
Yeah. So then I started applying myself in my math class, because in my life, all my problems I couldn't solve. Now I'm back again. I can't try to escape again. I need to figure it out. In math, you figure it out because every problem, there's an answer. So I got hooked to math. So I would sit and solve, and I would sit and solve. People would bypass the introduction to math concepts. I would sit and read it as a story. I never read storybooks. I read math textbooks.
Okay, you're a geek.
No, it was my therapy.
No. I love it. That was a huge compliment. Like, we have a chief nerd here, and I love your geekness because you took a math book and started telling stories. Seth Godin would be so proud of you.
Yeah. Thank you.
That is freaking awesome.
But that was my therapy. I needed to escape into something, right? And I also, my math teacher at that time had so many different quotes on his wall, like from different people. And one of the quote that I read is from Albert Einstein. I didn't even know who he was at that time. I just like, okay, that quote over there, right? That said that it's not that you have to be smart. It's just that you have to stay with your problems longer. Oh, I'm not smart. I told that myself all the time. I was stupid. The thing I was saying all the time to myself is I'm stupid. It took me until I was 32 years old to get rid of that phrase.
Get out.
Oh, yeah. It was, yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Because my dad compared to anything and everything and said, you're not going to be good for anything. So how could I prove that?
Yeah.
I don't have any means to prove it. And to this day, I want my dad to look at me and say, you achieved so much. And I can't get that from him to this day. He doesn't say that. But I stopped asking him, or I stopped proving to himself. He doesn't need to do that anymore. But there was a time that I was doing everything to make sure my dad was proud of me. Because that's what, we do, right?
That's what we do. That's what we do.
Yeah, it's pretty deep stuff. So that quote, falling in love with math and reading math textbooks,
stay with your problem.
Yeah, stay with
your problem. Dive in, tell a story.
Yeah. So then I started cracking the code of maths.
Okay.
I started.
What is the code of math? Like, math is something, at least here, my youngest loves math. What is it that made you gravitate towards math?
Because there's always an answer.
Right.
Oh. It's like a puzzle.
Okay.
So you have to ask questions.
Right.
You're like a scientist or detective looking for clues, and it leads to an answer. So empowering at the end of it. And then if you get it wrong, you're still investigating. It's not end of it. It's when it begins for me. Why isn't it working? So when I say cracking the codes of math, what I did is I would take what worked in one problem, I would apply to another one, and in a different situation. This is working for many things. So this is the code for this. Then I started getting codes out of everything that I was learning.
So you were taking what you were learning with regards to solving math equations and you were applying it to life?
Life, and also inside of math, there's different situations.
Yeah.
We change the context of a concept. I was doing that in different context right away to prove. So I'm in my head always like, okay, I need to prove this. Does it work for that? And then I would ask myself, why doesn't the teacher teach it this way?
Okay.
Here's a code. Learn the code. Now you can then solve any problem in different context. So I started wondering, why didn't they teach it like that? Why are they teaching pieces and pieces and pieces? And then by the time the student get all these pieces, they're more confused. Right? It's so much confusing. And that's why people say I hate it. And like math is a 4-letter word for many kids. Right? But there's a beauty to it.
Oh, 1000%.
Yeah. But the beauty is not, perceived.
Do you recall when they said math is the language of the world? I mean,
it is.
Do you know what I mean? It's like you don't hear that anymore.
Oh, it is the language. Everything.
Yeah, but you don't hear that anymore. Well, you don't hear it in the U.S. that much.
Letting it go as it's nothing. There's 2 international language, which is math. Second is smile.
Oh.
Yes.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in. All right, folks. I hope you're smiling at this as you're taking notes. There's a lot to dig into, your life story, especially with what happened at 12, at 13. Let's touch on that for a second about your thought process on what made you think that that was the only option. What did you learn that you convey now? From your life experience to teenagers that are contemplating this? Because I think I saw something and I'm a little concerned because they say depression is on the rise.
Oh, yeah.
People feel defeated.
It's not rise, it's already hitting.
Yeah, it is. It's astronomical. And here's the thing. I don't want to be a pessimist. I really don't. But I think we do have to deal in reality. And the reality is there is not a lot of optimism that you hear with some of the younger people.
Yep.
They feel, I think, lost.
Yes.
And I think they need to be heard. And there's so many distractions, they don't get focus time.
Yes.
So my question for you would be, I'm a parent, I'm a little concerned about, my teenager. What do you, from your experience, what are avenues that people can reach out to for resources? Like, what do you advise? You're dealing with kids all the time. So what do you advise parents?
I just want parents to go back to the basic.
Okay.
We're all looking for something big and something great we need. The basic is the family tie, right? The family connection. We have lost, we are saying, a lot of people say now, we're so connected, but at the same time, we're so disconnected.
Yeah.
So the connection inside the family is missing in many, many families. And when I say connected, genuine connection, right? We can't have devices all over the household, right? We have to get rid of it and really have meaningful. Secondly, connection comes through meaningful conversation. Why I did what I did is I never had meaningful connection with or conversation with anyone. The one person that showed me also took advantage of me. You see? So to me, that's the basic of any child's success is, do they have a strong connection? Can they turn to someone for genuine conversation? I'm not talking conversation. We talk, right? Genuinely, can they open up without being judged? If they have that, nobody can do anything to them. But we don't have that anymore. More and more and more in this world. We're here now in so much growth in human race, but the fundamental of just having genuine conversation is missing. It's gone. And people are asking, how can I fix this relationship? Conversation. That's the purest element you can ever have. There's nothing going to replace that. They can look everywhere. They won't find anything better than that. So if you're worried about your teenager, ask yourself, have I had genuine conversation? Would my teenager would come and tell me that something is going on? My son would, because I could, he was ready to, he was with the wrong crowd last year. I knew he wasn't looking right. When your kid doesn't look right, Can you have a conversation with him? I did.
What was that like? Would you mind sharing that?
Yeah.
I'm curious. Because you've gone through it, so how do you address it in your family dynamic?
Yeah, so I asked him, is everything okay? How's your friends doing? He's drinking. His friend was drinking at that time, heavily into, this is 15-year-old, fully drunk. So where are you getting the drink from? Who bought you all of this? Like, all these questions started to come. But before that, I do have a good relationship with my son.
So it wasn't an interrogation?
No. This is not at the time of the incident. We always talk. We always had conversation. I always would ask about his friends. So this is a relationship building, right? I'm not just coming at 15-year-old and say, who are you hanging out with? What are you drinking? Right. He always knew to tell me that. So that's when he told me, we have been trying weed. Weed is the biggest problem right now for teenagers. If they touch that at the wrong age, their whole mind becomes zombie. I can't tell you how much damage it's doing to these youngsters. They don't want to do anything. They're unmotivated. They're like, whatever. I have a test coming up. Whatever. It's not good for them. It's not good for, I don't know who's good for. I mean, there's medical things that are happening. People, it's good for pain and all that, but it's not good for a teenager because that's not what they need.
How come you think this has become a problem?
It's all over.
With teenagers.
It's all over. Every drug they can access. So then I asked him, where are you guys getting this?
Yeah.
Where do you get it? He said, it's all over school.
It's all over school.
It's all over.
He's in high school.
Yep. You can buy it. You can get it free. Sometimes
in
it's
high
free.
school.
Yep.
Okay.
All over.
High school has really changed since I was there.
It's all over the place.
That's crazy.
He said, tell me which one do you want? I can get it for you.
Holy shit.
I can't even get it. But he knows where to get it at 15.
Yeah.
So do we have a problem? Yes, we do. We have a big problem.
It's here too, because I mean, I have a teenager. I deal with it, you know, and we have it's really I would much rather be open and have a conversation with it versus hiding it under the rug and pretending it's not there.
So my son said, I need help, Mom.
Oh, shit.
I need help. I'm with people that are doing it. I've tried it. I need help.
Really?
Yeah. And then
what was that like for you as a parent?
Yeah, that's when my dad started showing up. Of course, that's what I talk in my book about parenting, right? Because my dad would have been like, you can't do that. That's when you don't switch up to becoming the authoritative parent. I'm going to take action. I said, okay, let me help you. We have to start, not hanging out with you. When do you do it? How can you say no to it? Let's start practicing saying no, because it's not helping. He said, I lost all my motive. He was a basketball player. He's a weightlifter. He's a boxer.
He's a go-getter.
He was into boxing.
Yeah.
And he slowly didn't go to boxing. And I know these signs. It's happening in front of me.
Got you.
Like, and then when I started talking to him every day, like, let's start going back, doing this. And he would get up at 5 a.m. and go to the gym and work out on his own. I don't even have to get him up after that. But we had to have that conversation. But that conversation didn't start in 15. I always had a relationship with my son, and he saw me, how hard I worked to become where I am. So he was always appreciative of my work and ethic and my parenting and how hard I tried to give him what he needs in order to be successful. So you have to build a relationship before 15, right? It's kind of too late to start at 15. That's why I said the first 6 years of any child, if you have children, is almost important than any other years. That's when you build it. That's why he comes to me. That's why he told me. Otherwise, he wouldn't. The year before, not a year, about 6 months ago, my friend lost her son to drugs at the age of 18. And these are parents who are well-educated parents, and they couldn't save him, right, from drugs overdose. So I saw, I see a lot of kids, and for me, I worked with a lot of kids who were on drugs in the school system when I was working in the system too. So I have a radar for that. I can tell when someone's influenced by it and when they're losing that motivation. It's a different type of loss. It's sort of like it's beyond their...
It's hopelessness.
Yeah. It's beyond. It's not a normal thing to see. And then comes depression, and then come the withdrawal, right? You can see them going up and down in their mood and everything. So from her experience, she whenever I meet with her, she would say, what could I have done to help to have my son here? All of that is what triggered me to decide that, you know what, I have to speak about this. There's a big problem going on.
Is that where this came in?
That's how the book started. I'm like,
did you see that? Wow. That all led
to this, because parents need to really learn how to parent, because it's not easy parenting, because things have changed, right? So much.
Okay. So cracking the parenting codes. I was going to ask you what inspired you.
This is it.
What a freaking sad,
And then myself, this is it. And all the children that I've helped, I've helped over 1,600 plus families in my, in my 25 years of working. It's all of this that led me to this book, because it is a duty, right? Being a parent is a duty. It's bigger than anything.
Yeah.
We have to get a license to drive. We don't have to get anything to be a parent. So when a parent is not parenting, is not because they don't want to, because I don't think any parent tells themselves, I'm going to be a bad parent. Even my dad never said, I'm going to be a bad parent. He just didn't know. He didn't know. He took what his parents gave him, which was very authoritative. And if I'm going through something, guess what? You're going to go through it 5 times worse than I'm going through. That was his. And then I'm going to tell you that you're so bad. Through that, I'm going to make you so inspired to become the person I'm looking for you to become. My dad wanted me to become a doctor. So through those kind of negative parenting, he thought I would become a doctor. That was his thinking, So. That's where we're at.
The parenting playbook is it's rough.
Yep.
The parenting playbook is rough, and I think it's rougher now because I feel like sometimes I've lost control. Not control. That's I'm not saying that right. It's like there's so many influences on our kids. My voice is being drowned out.
Yep. They're listening to too many
hard
people.
for me.
They're listening
hard.
to too many people.
Yeah.
Information is too much.
Yeah.
Overloaded. Everybody, you and I.
And too much hype.
Yep.
Too much hype. Versus reality.
Yes. And they're watching people on social media, all giving them that life is this and this and this. It's false many times. They don't know how to analyze that, right? So it's really like, even my son, he knows we're entrepreneur. We've been doing this for 13 years, my husband and I. He wants to be, when you ask him, he'll say, I want to be an entrepreneur. What and how doesn't matter, right? But that's what he says. Even him, he got into a course. We said, figure something out. I want you to see what you can figure out, right? He got into a course that told him that you can make money by doing this, but what they were teaching was impossible for him to do. The entrepreneur journey that this program was teaching, me and my husband looked at it and we said, that does not make sense. They're setting you up for failure. So there's a lot of programs out there for young people saying you can become the richest person next.
Right.
But the program itself is not going to get them there. So they're going to be felt like I'm a failure. That's the last thing you want a child to feel, like I'm a failure through a program. Why did it work for someone else? Why is it not working for me? So then I must be the stupid person.
What's wrong with these programs? Like you don't need to bring up the name of the program, but what was wrong with the program from your point of view?
Basically, it's telling them that you go ask a business owner that you will do their Facebook ad. The kid didn't even know what a Facebook ad is. They're telling them to do stuff. They have no idea how to do it.
Because you don't need a skill set. I just do Facebook ads, right? And people are going to hire me.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Is it?
That's reality, right?
Well, Facebook ads, that's a whole new animal.
You, me, and everybody else would be a millionaire if it's that easy.
And they're telling this to 17-year-olds. You go do Facebook ad for somebody and you can get rich. I'm like, Facebook ad, do you know what Facebook ad manager looks like inside? I mean, it's going to get easier as AI comes in. But those days, when you have to figure out the audience and ad sets and all the stuff, it's huge. And just to tell a child that you can make lots of money and fly on a jet and you're going to have your gold watch and all this blinky stuff, it's wrong. It's wrong.
Done. Because entrepreneurship it's incredible. Like every day is glorious and there's never any problems. And it's great.
Yep. They don't show the other side. How many hours you work on your computer, they don't show that.
Or all the failures that you constantly feel like it's just one failure after another. And when's the breakthrough going to happen? It actually is, I wasn't prepared and I have experience in life. And I'm like,
I know.
Let's not glorify something that's brutal.
It's not an easy path.
It is not an easy path.
No, it took us 13 years to get where I am today. And 2 years.
Oh, you're not an overnight success?
No.
Oh, man.
I just blew it.
Okay. All right. I guess the interview's over. You're not an I love the overnight success.
Yeah.
Every athlete, it's so funny because they're like, it only took me waking up every single day for 20 years to get to this point.
Yep.
Your book.
Yes.
I really want to dive into the book. As an educator for 24 plus years, how are things different today for parents than even 5 years ago? From your point of view.
Then, even further down, it was lack of information that made parenting harder. Okay. Now the information overload is making parenting harder.
Okay.
Because there's
Explain that, please.
So there's what is the right way to parent?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I really genuinely don't know these days.
They don't know, right? And then there's new wave of information coming at parents. How do you deal with it? My parent never had to deal with me choosing an identity. Did you have to deal with that? No, but now parents have this new thing about choosing identity because it was only girl or boy then.
Right.
Now we have other, and we can also say we pretend or we believe we are something else, like cat, dog, train, whatever we believe to be, we can also be that. How does the parenting go for that though?
I was shocked what you shared with me about like the Canada thing. I was blown away.
Yeah.
Like what?
Absolutely.
Crazy.
Yep. So these kind of new things are coming at parents, at kids, but these are very deep psychological things. I was psychologically affected, going through all those things, right? As a child, I know what grooming looks like. I know. I took me until I was 32 to really even admit it was grooming because I thought it was love, it was this, it was that. All these things were in my head. I mean, some of the things I see in news and hear, to me, it really connects to what I was feeling that time is grooming. It's basically what's happening in some of the schools. It's grooming.
And what are what is the goal that's wanting to be accomplished by grooming, from your point of view? Like, what is it that...
the goal is be whoever you want.
Right.
It's freedom of expression, freedom of all of this thing. But the freedom to me looks chaos.
Yeah. I don't know, like...
It's not freedom for me. I'm just saying that's probably...
Yeah. And I think this is interesting. Like, I don't know what, like, we're human beings. That's all I'm going to say. Like, everyone has a right to their opinion. We're just human beings. I don't understand that.
So
it doesn't make sense to me.
Are we now separating human beings into different species? Because I've studied biology. As I said, my dad wanted me to become a doctor. So I have high, studies in that. So are we trying to create human in different species? Like, are we going to separate them now? The human, but then human this, human subcategories. Is that what's happening? I don't know. But I just see chaos.
I'm not sure what it accomplishes. I think everyone should be who they are, at the same exact point, like human being though. Like,
one thing I know is the diversion of attention is good to control. It's very good control of a mass. So we are not divided. When I was going through my racism, that season of that, one day I told, will we all be together as a human? My prayer was that one day we'll all be human.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, since all of the COVID and all the shifts, I just see so many subcategories. No one is together. No one is connected anymore. Everyone's like presenting different things. So we're just it's no longer racism. It's dividing us. It's divided into different parts.
Get out. I literally recorded a video this morning that said, we really, really have to figure out how we bring our communities together and close down this division and start really like working on unity.
Yep.
Like peace,
That's
unity.
That's where the power is, because you can all ground
Crazy.
us. We can ground ourselves in power of coming together, not power of diverting.
Yeah.
It's just going to create so much negative energy. And that's not, I just feel sad for our kids, sad for our youngsters who are growing up, who are 5 years old, who don't know anything, coming into this world and looking at this diversion happening, and parents can't make sense of it either because it's so new for them. It's new for them.
I don't even know what to say. Like I'd be upfront with you what I would say to my 13-year-old with the story that you shared. I'm like, I'm sorry. Like I love my kids. I'll do anything for my kids, go above and beyond. And I also deal in reality. Yep. I deal in reality. That's the way I choose to parent. That's my right. And I think every parent has the right to parent. I think we should also deal in reality too, which is crazy to me.
I think a lot of it is mixed with our parents are getting mixed messages. It's not, your child cannot find their true identity. You don't have to. Do you have an identity? Yes. Do I have an identity? Yes.
Yeah.
We got it. No matter what, we are born with that, right? It's in us.
It's intrinsic.
Yeah, it's in us. It'll come out.
It will come out.
But why?
You just got to give it time, right?
Yeah, that's why we called it this growth time. That's why we protected our innocent kids by giving them that opportunity to grow on their own. But now we're saying you be this and you be that. You can be this, you can be that. That's what I mean by grooming, because these information weren't available to them before. Now we're giving them information that's available, but they don't know what to do with it. And we're giving it at a stage where kids pretend. You know, how many kids pretend to be a train one day and the next day they're like, I want to be this, I want to be a firefighter, I want to be a police officer.
Yeah.
They're not going to become all of that. That's the pretending stage.
Yeah.
We go through, all of us play like that, right? That's play, right? So, and in a lot of United States schools, I'm hearing from teachers. I'm not in the schools, but I talk to about 40 to 50 teachers a week. So they're telling me that—
You're connected.
Yeah, I'm always talking to them. So I know this is a fact, that many of the kindergarten classrooms have taken the toys out of the classrooms. Now, for the 6 hours, the kids have to sit and learn at a desk. But the first primary levels, like the kindergarten, pre-kindergarten, grade 1, should be play-based.
Yeah. Imagination. Feed your creativity and curiosity.
Apparently, there's no toys.
How come?
It's the new way to learn.
What does that accomplish? What was the strategy behind?
So by grade 2, they need to write a state exam.
Okay.
That exam deserves them to be in this, way of growth. They can't be playing. How can they take the test? So we have to get them ready by kindergarten, not play. Let's sit down on our desk. And then it's not working.
Of course it's not.
The kids are angry because they're frustrated. So they're dealing with— the teachers are dealing with a whole bunch of behaviors in the classroom because they're not being able to move around. Kids at that age need movement. They need to do whatever they like. And that's how the teachers go and play with them and get them to learn whatever they're learning, right? But it's not available anymore.
So you're an educator. You're an experienced educator that's been in that field for over 20 plus years.
Yes.
What's the solution? Like, let's talk about the book, Cracking the Parenting Codes. What is it that parents actually do? What is it that we do when there is so much noise being thrown at all our kids, where they're being told the things that they're being groomed for other people's agendas?
So
what do we do?
School is not going to teach your kids. They're not going to parent your kids. Somehow, somewhere along, I don't know which year it happened, somehow parents have now thinking that teachers in the school system will parent their kids. That's not— you should never let them do it, first of all.
Are you making a statement for reaction, but is that a reality that you're hearing? No, I'm curious. Like, are you getting this from the teachers that you're talking to every single week that are saying, hey, I feel like these parents think I'm supposed to raise their kids?
Yes.
And how come how come this has started?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. When did it start?
There's no answers.
I still don't have the answer. What I'm saying is there has been a shift that the school and the system will take care of the problems. Okay. If your child is addicted to their phone, school can get them that therapy to get off of that. It's not going to happen at school. That's not where it happens. Because in school, what we need is a child prepared to learn.
Right.
They're not there to do the detachment from the phone and all that, right? That's not they're not trained for that, first of all. There's no training for that. And then second of all, the teacher will say automatically, that's not my job. My job is— her description is different, right? Everybody has the job description. If she doesn't do her job, what will come back to her at the end of the day is, all the kids are failing. What were you doing? Well, she could say, I've been training them how not to use the phone and how to be responsible and how to take accountability. They'll be like, that wasn't the curriculum. What are you fooling around for?
Kohila, I'm silly. I'm silly like this. I know. I can't wait until I get the comments on this. This is going to be terrible. I have a question for you. When we're in a business meeting, have you ever had them bring a bucket where you're putting your phone away? Like you don't have access to it, like a chest with a lock? I don't know. I know that's I'm in California. But I was just thinking like a simple solution. Like, here's the room, here's the box, put your phones in. There's no phones during class.
Some people have that, but there are a lot of parents who protest that as well.
I'm sorry.
Parents are protesting that you can't take the phone away.
Well, do you know what I mean? Like, these are like logical common sense because the phone is automatic distraction. If it's in your hand, you're going to use it.
Yep. Yep. I had a teacher tell me that they were using iPad to learn some math and other games in 10 or 12 grade, not 10-year-old, maybe they're in grade 5, 4, this classroom. And then the child was, I don't know how they access it. There's also a big problem with being able to access inappropriate materials for kids right now.
Yes.
They have access to everything. So this child was actually accessing porn in the classroom.
Okay.
So
did the parents have a problem with that?
So I'm going to tell you what happened. So they contacted the parent and then they told them about it. The parent told the school and the teacher that, why are you giving an iPad in the hand of my child? That was the reaction. Why are you giving this to them in the classroom? So iPads have been coming in and out. I'm not saying you have to give iPad, but I was shocked. If they told me about my son did that, that wouldn't be my reaction to it. I would have asked, why did you give it as well? But that wouldn't be the only reaction to it, because why is my son on a porn site?
How would even?
Oh, they know.
Obviously they know, but as a parent, that would be my first question. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. Like, logic, parenting. My kid, my responsibility. Yeah. You're saying that's different. That's not how we deal with the schools anymore. Yeah. My kid, not my responsibility. My kid, the teacher's responsibility.
Why did you give the iPad?
Why did you give the iPad?
Yeah.
That's pretty hard to be an effective educator when you're not getting support from.
Yeah, a lot of them say the words they use, the majority of them, they're stuck, they're trapped. These are the words teachers use. Their hands are tied.
Okay.
Because they cannot provide what the child needs, because the curriculum dictates that.
Right.
Administrators dictate that. So they're in a state of trapped this place. And the parents are also helpless, because if your child does watch porn, what are you going to do now? How are you going to take it away? What's the conversation? Is anyone giving an advice on this? In Finland, they made a commercial about this, because this is a big problem. And this is going to actually screw up a lot of kids' psychology in their head about what relationship is. So they no longer can have a proper relationship as they grow older and older, because what they're watching is not real, right? So in Finland, they made this commercial. These people will knock. I don't know if you saw this, but they are porn stars. They will knock at the door and the mom will open and they say, "Can I see Emily?" And she's like, "Who are you?" "Oh, we've been meeting online all the time. She's been watching us. I just want to meet Emily." So they wanted to make a proof to the parents that you think Emily's upstairs. She's been with us, watching us. Protect your children. That was the way that Finland started, telling parents, wake up. Just because your child is with the phone upstairs, you are giving the world in their hand. You don't.
Kudos to Finland.
Yeah, it's a strong message, but it wakes you up. And another one they put out is this, older guy knocks and says, "Can I see a girl name?" She's like, "Who are you?" "Oh, we've been talking and I've been talking to her. I'm just going to take her out." So this guy's been grooming her over the internet. He's at the door. That's what happens, right? The internet is not safe. So I always go back to this analogy I give on my podcast as well as in my summit. I've done 2-3 summits before. We don't if somebody knocks at our door, right? Ring the bell. You don't let that stranger and he says, "I want to go meet your son upstairs."
That's a great analogy.
Daughter upstairs. You ever let them? Do we ever take a stranger into a bedroom or bathroom and say, "Oh yeah, they're upstairs, go hang out"? But that phone, anything can come through it. So when did we let that be okay? It's not okay. We have to have rules. Phone is not your oxygen tank. I tell my son, it's not something you need. It's not required. It's a tool.
Okay. Gary Vaynerchuk. Okay. One of the takes that he has is that parents are wrong. Let your kids be who they are. Let them get lost in the digital space. It's don't come, be progressive. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I love, as I said, it's a tool, but it has to be given with the responsibility,
Right.
balance, and boundaries. They're kids.
You make me think.
They're kids. You don't give kids drugs and say, you know what, it's progressive. Here's some this. Just you use it. You don't do that. This is exactly like that. This produces exact same addiction as any drug you can take. And how can you say I'm being progressive? Yeah, it is a tool, but you need to educate your child as a tool and the danger of the tool.
Yeah.
And then you can't expect, why is my son depressed? Because they will be depressed. Because they will read something. People can say so mean things, on across text messages and on social media. They say, I call if anyone's on my ad or anything. Like today, even somebody said something. It's a scam, they said. I've been doing this business with teachers and changing education. It's my passion. It's my second life. I don't do it just for money. I could have done some other thing and made millions of dollars. Why do I do this? Because it's my second chance. I was given to do this in my life. So when someone comes over and says scam, I'm like, what makes you think that? Have you checked your facts? I asked that on social media this morning.
I'm glad that you brought it up. So let's talk about the hype on media, because it is a reality.
Yep.
Kohila, there's a lot of people that are pitching you all the time. We're in a space where we deal with a ton of entrepreneurs. What were they saying that was a scam? I'm
just
curious.
My book was on. It was a book ad or a book post or something saying.
Right.
And then I had teachers. Our testimonial video was playing, and the teachers was just expressing how happy she is that she's able to serve her students in a meaningful way. That looked scam to them. I'm not even worried about them saying that. I know there's a lot of scams out there.
There are.
There's lots out there. I wasn't worried about that. It's just that people can say mean things. And when you're genuine, it used to get me so much triggered. I would get hijacked. I would cry. And then I would tell myself, you got to grow thicker skin. You should never let this affect you. And then every time somebody would say scam, I would ask them, what makes you think that? Because whatever I'm doing, I want to get the feedback from them. What makes you think this is a scam? What is the fact? Tell me, then I can maybe, make that correction in my, away from the scammer looking thing, right? But this is just a normal thing people say, right? People are so afraid. Internet is a new thing for many people. But what happens is when there is a real scammer, they do not test it. That's always like, I know people who always afraid of everything have scammed on dating site, even buying crypto for 60, 70,000. I'm like, you're the most, like, they would tell me, don't give your credit card.
And they're the ones that got scammed.
So when it's a real scammer, they really fall for it. When it's not, they ask all these questions as I'm being so protective. So that always, now I smile. It doesn't affect me at all. So
you're helping students, you're helping teachers. What are the teachers saying to you in regards to what value you're bringing them, and how are you getting them better prepared to be able to deal with the challenges that they're dealing with today? Where, you were, I think you retired in 2013, right? From being a teacher. Yeah. So you're still staying connected with them. What is it that they need that the school system isn't providing, that they have to go get coaching and help and mentorship? Yeah. So at this time, they're teachers, right? Right now, they're teachers. What I give them is to become a holistic neuro growth learning success coach. Okay. It's a whole new identity. So when I left classroom, I wanted, when I said I cracked the codes of math, so I wanted to go into the classroom and deliver this. I got this amazing skill. I got to go show off, right? And give people and make people like me. Let me make a difference. And make them more nerds. You wanted to be Miss Mayo. Exactly. But it didn't happen. I saw a lot of it was impossible. There's 30 kids. You can only get to maybe 5. The rest of them looked like me sitting in those classrooms when I was younger. I needed to go talk to them because I could see in their eyes, in their body language, that they needed that help, but I couldn't give them. I tried. I couldn't give it.
It's not possible. So then I said, I got a great idea. I will become a tutor. I will open my own tutoring business.
Okay.
There I will serve them. I will do this again in more of my own controlled way. It didn't work because when parents bring a student to a tutoring, or when students come, they're coming for an emergency solution.
Oh, got it. Not a permanent solution.
No, they want a magic pill.
They want a Band-Aid.
They want a magic pill.
Got it.
And that's through me. And then they don't ever learn what needs to be learned. So I don't have a magic pill.
Oh, you weren't selling magic pills?
No.
Oh.
I want true transformations. Okay. So I was like, this is not what I want to do either. I had hundreds of students sometimes in my practice during that time too. But I wanted to change, but I took that as my laboratory. I started researching again what was working with students, what wasn't, and what is this, what do I need to give them to get that intrinsic motivation so they want to learn? Not I want them to learn. I want them wanting to learn. Other way around.
So you were making it about them, not about you.
Yeah.
What a novel concept on getting people to want to learn.
That's what I did. So that's how I landed on my methodology.
Were you encouraged to do that as an educator?
Oh, no. This is all my stuff.
Got it.
Away from
How come you don't think the education system encourages that? For teachers to get creative about how they teach?
Oh, there's no creativity in classrooms.
I know.
It's supposed to be curriculum. Because it's dictated by because we were producing the exact the system was designed to produce the exact factory workers who would listen and work on Bell and all that, right?
We're in a new day though. Right?
Yeah, but it hasn't changed.
Got it.
It's still stuck. So now curriculum designers are more, they want their program in the system. So that's money for them. So now it's a field of the curriculum designers and who's going to make the most money and all that. It has become a business too. So it's a hard field.
It's funny how, what's your opinion when we turn public education into capitalism? What are the end results going to be? I think those are the questions that, like us as parents, we need to start talking more about. Like we are, like literally, it's our tax revenue that's going to pay for these. Like they've been working on the education system for how many years?
Yeah.
Like you mean to tell me, like if the world can change, we have a global economy, everything is changing. How come we can't fix something that's broken?
Yeah.
It's interesting, right?
It's by design, I think.
Of course. Yeah, everything is by design. But the cool thing is you're making an impact.
I did start it. So when I shifted everything 12 years ago, that's when I also went online because I wasn't being a great mom either because I was divorced. My son was just kind of all over my office and I just didn't want that life for him. So I took my business online and I had over 100 students that then I said, at that time, online was something nobody even knew about. Now, after COVID, everybody knows what online looks like.
You were innovative before innovation.
I looked it up and I took it on. And that's how I brought my son home. I gave him a life at home instead of being in my office all day, after school. So that gave me an advantage during COVID because I was already COVID ready. It was so long ago. Everybody was scrambling to come online. I had my business already online. So that's how I got very successful. And at the end of it, 2 years ago, I had a choice to either hire more people, or I could empower them. So I took a trip to Costa Rica. I wasn't sure. I wasn't in alignment. You were asking earlier about entrepreneurship and being in alignment and listening to too many people. So I had lots of people I followed in the last 13 years of being online and marketing and everything. Lost so much money to the gurus, right? I'll do this. This is the way to do it. This is the way. I'm like, I just learned this is the way. Now this is the way. Now this is the way. Which is the way? No. So I went to Costa Rica and I let go everything. I sat. It was my rebirth. That's where I was given a rebirth and
when
clarity.
Was this?
This was 2.5 years ago. I was there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Congratulations on your rebirth.
That is my rebirth place. And I was sitting under a tree. I'm very intuitive. I receive a lot of messages. And when I sat down, I knew exactly what to do with the business. I came back because before we had tried to launch something with the gurus and listening to others, but my body wasn't in alignment. It was always like like this. They're like, make a video. I'm like, say this. I'm like, no, that's not me. I said it, but it was like it's like, well,
It was forced.
Forced. It's like, I don't want to say it. It's not me. It's not me.
You weren't good on camera?
I wasn't.
Wow.
I was bad.
Good for her.
My husband's a film producer, so he gave up
ironic.
on me. He gave up on me because
Oh, Rod gave up on you? He's like, forget it. You're done.
this is not a material.
Okay, that's funny. I'm sorry. That's hilarious. Rod's like, I'm out. You should never get on video. Did he really tell you that?
No, he didn't say
Oh, that's
it, but I could see
that
his
is-
pain. I could see his pain.
Oh, I get it. I just think it's adorable
You know,
because
Rob
he's
worked with the National Geographic and big companies. He's a big producer.
that's so cool.
Sitting with this amateurs, like, I'm like,
you're married to a producer. That is hilarious. That is awesome. Okay. I thought this was natural. Okay. Not so much.
yeah.
All right.
So I went to Costa Rica and I got clarity as what I'm going to call it, because before we were calling something else.
Yeah.
That's the name it. I came back, I knew exactly what it's going to be. And everybody loves the name that I called this new, holistic neuro growth learning success coach.
Okay.
Because what we do is holistic. We don't work on one part of the problem. We look at it everywhere. We work with the family, we work with the students. So that's holistic. Neurogrowth, we're really rewiring the brain from being conditioned, I can't do it, I'm stupid, to I can, I will. It's a rewiring. So neurogrowth, learning success coach. So I was given a second chance in life because I wanted a learning success coach for myself when I was 13. So my mission is to have a learning success coach for every child. And that's why we're starting a nonprofit, because a lot of people ask me, this is only for the wealthy, right? No, it's not. I will make it for the others too. I've always had that side. So we're actually going to start a nonprofit in 2 months.
Congrats.
Thank you.
I mean, I think that's the part that everybody's got to realize. You do have to bring in revenue and money in order to do the free stuff that you want to do, because it's got to get paid for. Because it's not free. There's a cost to everything. Production, the time that you have to come up with the material to help people. And it constantly innovates because life changes.
Money is a tool.
Yeah.
I used to get stuck between giving, serving. It was like, they were like this. Now I have separated them. Money is a byproduct of a great service. So you sell, you serve. And then when you're doing a powerful business like what I'm doing now, I have the opportunity to give it to the right people who don't have anything for free. Because you should never charge someone who doesn't have the food anyway.
Yeah.
That's not where their money should go. So give it to them for free. When I had business back then with no knowledge, when I was a tutoring business, I was giving to the wrong people. And I was suffering because I couldn't give it to the right people. So we get in this trap, right? You can't serve the ones you need to serve, and you're serving people who do have money. Now I always say, charge the right value, your worth, and then you'll have everything so you can serve freely to those who are needing you.
What did you realize about the value that you brought where you're comfortable charging what you charge? Like, when did you realize this is actually, because that imposter syndrome is hardcore. In my industry right now, everything is about interest rates. Interest rates are really, really high. And what I love to help people understand, like, one of the first phone calls I get is like, hey, let me bring up interest rates. I'm the one that brings it up. Let me talk to you about interest rates. So if you want the lowest price, I'm not your person.
Yes.
Because, the lowest, like, if I go to a discount mortgage broker, and they're not going to give me any service. They're just doing my loan. And if something goes wrong, they don't care, because what I'm doing is I'm taking the lowest price, sacrificing experience and service and education, and really walking me through the process. Now talk to one of the people that I help. Oh, it's on.
Yes.
The experience.
Yes.
The guidance, the support, the explanation, everything.
Option, right? You also show them option. That's not possible in some places with mortgage. They don't even give you option.
Oh, there is no options because they're not there to
educate you.
They're there to give you the easiest solution that takes the least amount of time. it's really, and I get that sense from you. So when you're doing these coachings, what is it? What is the feedback that you're getting from the teachers that's helping them be better at what they do, which in turn helps all our kids, right? Because all of us need coaches. And that's the biggest thing that I've started to really grasp. If you go through the right process and you interview and connect with someone and they're sincere and have a proven track record, go look at someone's reviews. It's not hard. And you can't fake reviews. If you really read reviews, they tell you a story. You can tell the ones that are fake or not.
Well, the one today who said it is a scam, this was actually a video interview of my testimonial of teacher being excited that she can say.
Wow.
And that's when they said,
interesting. Well, good.
It's not even written, but that's from their point of view, right? It's none of my
And there's
business.
nothing wrong with that.
That's where they're at. Everybody's at a different path into their journey. So you asked me a good question. So it was, how do I charge? Is that what the question was?
Yeah, the question was, what feedback are you getting from the teachers that are in your program? They're saying, Kohila, this is what since I joined your program, like, what did they notice a difference in regards to how they're showing up to educate?
Yeah,
that's what I care about because
number one, I take their handcuffs away, the one that's been put on by the
imaginary
system.
Ones.
Yeah,
okay,
they're like this. Number one, I'm like, you don't have a handcuff. Let's just take. So I open up their mind to that you're in control of this. So even though they're taking the training from me, I give them all responsibility to be empowered in the process. Every educator has to be empowered, and they have to have control. I give them the whole control. I give them my methodology. I give them a business in a box. I give them my coaching. And you just explain what coaching is. Like in your product, what you're doing is coaching. The difference between a teacher and a coach is teacher just tells you the information. A coach is someone who brings you to a resourceful state where they open up all these doors and they're not going to tell you which door to go through. They're going to give you that time to think about, oh yeah, that door looks good. But then they might turn back and say, no, I don't quite want to go through that because we have brought them to a resourceful state. That is a beautiful state to be in because when someone's stuck, they don't have anything to do.
action.
There's nothing to work with.
Yeah.
We give a coach job is to provide that for them, not give opinions, but options, open the doors for options. And that's what a great coach is. And that's what they say. I have empowered them. I have given them a new hope. I have given them a space to work the way they want to work. And I have given them a way to make meaningful differences in the children's life. I have given them an opportunity to leave a legacy, impact. Like these are huge for them. A place where they can really, truly serve and really, truly be paid what they deserve. Because in the school system, they're not getting paid either.
Well, how would they get paid? How would they get paid if they're working for the school system?
No, but in this program, they're starting their own business.
They are starting their own business.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's their own coaching practice. So I give them all of that system, working online because I have my own coaching platform. They can meet their students.
Right.
So just what I did, exactly what I did, I have packaged this into a beautiful program. But not only that, we have a community now because I've been doing this for, so long, 2.5 years. We have over 200 people there. So this is a movement. This is a movement. We're on a mission to serve 1.5 million students and families by 2035. So when they come in, I always tell them what I just said earlier, money is a byproduct of a great service. So come into this program to serve. Join me on this mission. Together, you will live a beautiful life. And you will also serve beautifully to those who you want to serve because teachers don't go into teaching for making money to become the next millionaire. They don't go into that. They go from their heart to serve. It's such a place of love and care, and they lose that in the system. And that's my worry is that we're going to lose all the passionate teachers, and that's what my project is doing, is saving them. So I have people tell me, you're taking all the passionate teachers, right, away from the classroom. I've never taken any teacher from the classroom. These were the teachers who were going to go and do something else. I gave them a process to stay in what they love and to serve the students continuously in a new environment. That's what this is about. And at the time, empowered. It's beautiful for them. So these were teachers we could have lost, all of the ones I'm talking about.
And instead of getting out of the education and growth, they're staying in it, but just doing it with more of their purpose in mind.
Yes.
Because they want to stay educators.
They love it.
They just don't love the system.
So what I say is that it's
That's funny. So you're helping them and you're getting people that, okay, I got it. So is the solution for parents is for us to get away from like the traditional education system and is this a compliment? Am I going to layer on someone like this? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, it is a layer.
Yeah.
We serve everyone. These coaches serve homeschoolers, unschoolers, traditional schooling system. It doesn't matter where you're at. We meet there. But it gives also life coaching. The component of our program is not just the subject. We don't use subject as the first means of it because that's, as I said earlier,
it's a holistic.
Connection is everything. Yeah. Subjects don't connect you with anyone. If I start talking about math, that wouldn't know what would have connected you and I, right? It's also math wouldn't connect you. To get to know you is what connects us. Who are you? Because when I'm meeting you as a teacher, I'm only meeting to serve you, to deliver some content to you, right? When in our method we meet to actually get to know the child.
I love it. And you're actually so you're basically opening up doors for educators that are passionate about education. They're just not passionate about the obstacles and challenges they got to go through, and they don't get to do what they're supposed to do, which is help people grow, learn, and shape their future.
Yes, absolutely.
How's that for a summary?
Yeah, absolutely.
You would think like I'm like a podcast host or like something that's really, because as we were talking, I was trying to figure out like what is the problem, that most parents, like, how come this is relevant? Because right now I encourage a lot of people that are getting paid to do what they're doing to go and actually potentially start a side hustle for themselves and see where it leads. There's nothing wrong, with exploring. I actually think it makes you better at what you do when you explore different avenues. This is a great avenue to give teachers additional revenue and see if it's possibility.
Yeah, I never ask them to quit. I never just tell them to quit. Any business, the business will tell you when to quit. The
business will tell you.
You don't tell them.
Business will always tell you.
Yeah, it speaks to you, right? It has its own personality. Each of us have, our business has that's what I tell them. I never tell them to quit.
This is very unique. I've haven't seen too many people. How many people are actually doing this in your space where they're mentoring and coaching teachers?
Not this way. Not this way.
Okay. What's different about, like, what's the way that you're doing it that's different?
They're tutoring, but we're not tutoring. As I said, I never wanted to be a tutor. I don't have a magic pill for anyone to swallow.
I got you. So I'm bringing my kid because I got a need. It's an emergency. We got to get this fixed. And so I just put a Band-Aid on it. Now you're basically coming up with a permanent solution. Like, let's tackle this all together. What are the study habits? All of those things. And you're having teachers that are the best therapists on how you
train them. Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I like it.
Yeah. And passionate. They are in love with their student success. Yeah. That's the best people to give it to.
I'm thinking that you're not going to just take on a client if their heart is in the right place. I think it's more of a, do you know what I mean?
Every single week I have two times I meet with these teachers. As I said, 40 to 50 teachers I'm meeting sometimes. I pick the right ones. I don't let everyone, how in entrepreneurship, the mass sales, and then you got a couple of bad apples in your crowd and then they could ruin your day and night, right? I don't want that. I don't want that. Because they're just
money's money.
Nope. No. Because
money's not money? Okay.
It has to come from the right heart and right place. It just doesn't serve me because they'll put me in places that I don't want to be, right? I'm not desperate. If I wanted to be where I would have just kept serving my students. Why I do this is from the clarity I got in Costa Rica, my rebirth, my conversation with God and everything. For me, this is how I'm going to get the 1.5 million students. That's what wakes me up. Not if you ask me how much did you make last month, I wouldn't. Rod knows. He looks after the money part.
Yeah.
I know what we've been doing to students. I have all those people, teachers share, the coaches share their student success with me. After the first meeting, we have a very unique way of onboarding our students that's unique to my process. After the first meeting, the daughter who was with my coach went to the mom and said, I never had an adult understood like the coach just did. After one class with the coach, the daughter went to the mom and the mom texted that back to my coach. And then the coach texted right away to me. That's what I want. That's the real change, right? This little girl never had an adult talk to her like that. She felt respected, seen, heard. That's the connection I'm talking about.
1,000. I like this makes so much sense to me. It's a no-brainer because the way I look at it right now, I know I left part of the growing process for my kids with the school. I know I did.
Yeah.
1,000% I can admit. And I'm like, but there's always time for change, you know? And that's what I've realized because I was so hard on myself about like, I think it's the hardest thing, like the hardest role in life I've ever had to play is be a parent. You're so emotionally connected. You just don't want to fail them. You don't want to let them down. You're like, you want to do better than your parents did with you.
Actually, yeah, that's
crazy.
The main thing. Every parent says, I don't want to screw up their future.
It's crazy. I really
I
don't.
don't want to screw up their future. They say it, but they let the school system somehow, somewhere along the line, we have sent this message to parents that I'm going to go into the back seat. And I'm not sure who's driving it in that analogy.
Who is driving?
I don't know yet.
Holy shit.
Who
is driving this?
It's mentally upsetting me because I don't even know who's driving it. Someone else is driving and parents are having a hard time to take that wheel again.
Interesting.
In their kid's life. And it's driving and it's going somewhere. It's not going to be good for our youth. And that's why I'm creating a life coaching component to it because I find that, most of our kids do not know how to do basic things, right? You're good at math, you're a mortgage, more into the mortgage and the numbers.
You would hope so.
I hope so. How many kids exit a, classroom without knowing the function of a bank? What is a credit card? What is a debit card? Like simple things, right? And these kids are going to...
Can I do the financing side of your educational program, please?
Yes.
Can I be involved? Yes. I would like to volunteer the financial education of your platform. It's such a necessity.
So then they go to buy a house. Someone could just cheat them in front of them and they won't even know the difference because they have no idea about any of this, right? That's why your coaching comes in. Yeah. Giving people options, showing people, so much education has to be done because none of our kids understand compounding interest versus simple interest.
Amortization.
None of that stuff. We don't teach any of that.
How interest works.
As I was being, math coaching, when I was growing my business, I always had this program in the back of my head called Math for Life. I know a second, third year calculus I was doing, but Math for Life was so important for me, which included all of this stuff. Going to grocery store, which is a better buy. Ask a little kid right now.
Learn how to read a box.
Yeah.
What's in the food that we're buying?
Yep.
Kohila, did you have fun?
I did. I loved it.
Okay.
I did.
Let's do some gratitude.
Yes.
You ready for some gratitude?
Yes, I love it.
Who do you want to thank? Who makes your life better every day? Who puts a smile on your face?
I really want to thank Mrs. Mayo because if she didn't make me speak that day, I would never had the, I don't know, maybe somebody else might, but I still remember her, And so I do want to thank her. I'm not sure if she's still here. I have lost touch with her, but I want to thank her for giving me my voice back. That's important. And then I like to thank my grandparents as well, who gave me those set of values. It doesn't matter where you're at. You're always who you are and be you, that. And I would say definitely Rod has come into my life at a certain time. He represents my grandpa for me. You know how they say you end up with your dad or someone who was an adult figure? Rod, his kindness, his mom is going through she's 89, going through dementia and stuff. The way he takes care of her, just so beautiful. Like I told him I love you more by watching what you're doing with your mom. It makes like she'll call at 2 a.m. and he's like, Mom, how are you? At 2 a.m. And how is it going? Like he starts off as, it's not 2 a.m. I'm not disturbed. And he's like, call me anytime, Mom. And I just love it. I can just see how he would take care of me, right? And that's how he does it too. So it's beautiful. And he represents my grandpa. So I do want to thank him, because when I was doing all the work, when I met Rod through his son, he brought him to get coaching from me, tutoring at that time. I was a tutor. And he said to me, you know what? I changed his son's whole, life path. He's now graduating this year as a civil engineer, finishing full credit, right? But at that time when he didn't see that. He
wasn't on that path.
No, he did not believe that he could do a math problem. Now he's an engineer. So Rod brought him to my office and I started working with him. He said, you're not tutoring. Like I had tutors before. You're doing something different. I'm like, what do you mean? And that's how we ended up together, because he kept saying, what you're doing is different. You don't even know what you're providing your students. You're charging too low. You're working so much. Like somebody looked at me and saw all the things I was doing wrong. And he started helping me. And he's like, we need to take you to the next level. Next level. Right?
Rod did that? He saw in you before you saw it.
Yeah, he is the one.
All
Absolutely.
right, Rod. All right. Rod's gotten a few shout outs today.
Yes.
And he dresses. You can tell he's a producer.
Yes.
He dresses nice.
Yeah. He heard you, right? You heard him say, I tell people what to do.
He does. He's a producer. I tell people what to do. I usually like that role, but he was in his zone. He's like, I'm gonna get it. That's amazing. I'm so glad that you joined us all the way from Canada.
Yeah.
Did you have fun?
I did. And thank you for making this possible. Because
absolutely.
I really want this message, the parenting message. For me, that's my passion project. At this point, I just see a chaos coming. I just see all my kids were my kids, my students are my kids. I can see them getting ruined. And it doesn't have to be that way. That's my big message. I don't need money. I have everything. I can make that different ways. I just want parents to know that you can't sit at the back seat. You got to take the wheel. You got to guide them. You have to ground your kids. You have to be the guide. You can't let teachers, you can't let education, you can't let politicians, you can't let anyone take that role. You are the only protector. And look at me. My dad didn't do that. I got ruined until I was 32. But that's how I got out of it, right? Because I started working on my mind. But why screw up our kids? Why don't we just help them grow the right way? Why do I need to go through that? That's why I'm launching this new platform called Personal Development for Parenting. Because there is no real help. There's so much stuff, but it's not really the real help they need.
Everything has become a pitch, and if you get the right person doing things for the right reasons, that's how change begins.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So this platform will serve everyone. My nonprofit will serve everyone. So it's not just for the rich people. I always hear that you just serve the rich people. I have not. I actually give so much free lessons to people who don't have money.
You were a teacher in the public school system. I'm thinking that you didn't do it for the money.
Never. I always say not to diss any realtors.
You wouldn't have become a teacher, no offense, but that's the reason why I didn't become a teacher. Just when I was growing up, I'm a kid. I love teachers, but it doesn't pay enough.
Because I would have become a realtor. Because in Vancouver...
I like you too much. Don't do that.
No, I was always joke like that with my realtor friends. It's no diss to them, but it's just that if you love money, there's a different way. They do service too. They do education.
I'm totally joking. Yeah,
joking.
I'm a real estate person. I was taking a shot at my own industry.
But the thing is, it is not for the money you go into teaching. It's truly driven by passion to serve.
Well, Kohila, I will also share with you, if you spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes connecting with someone, within the 5-10 minutes, I think most people show what their like true agenda and intentions are.
Yes.
And sincere people will spend more time talking about your needs versus their needs. And I think that's how we evaluate things. This hit home for me because I've been talking about parenting. It's so funny. If you go back and look at some of our episodes, parenting has been coming up almost every single episode, like clockwork. So this I think came at the right time.
And you got 3 kids, right?
Oh, I got 3,
everyone,
yeah.
It doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you're struggling as a parent, that transfer to your
Everything.
your work.
No brainer. There's nothing that impacts
You can't
us more.
succeed because
You
there's
can't.
something part of you. It's your most important person is struggling.
After talking to you, I'm surprised that there isn't more people in this space that are trying to monetize it, because it doesn't seem like, just getting to know you, this isn't about the money. This is about like, how do I make a difference and an impact to empower parents to not sit in the back seat, but actually get into the driver's seat and then eventually pass the wheel
To your kid.
to your kids.
That's right.
I like how we're going with like
Awesome.
a whole, I'm in.
Yes, thank you.